it's Gavin from Balls to You, and this is going to be all about investments. And for me, I'm going to break this down into two videos. Investments can mean I'm going to talk about the investment side of the snakes, and then I'm also going to talk about the investment side of the equipment that we use, obviously as breeders and such. However, before I get into that, first thing I want to do is give a massive shout out to Summit City Reptiles. Thanks for the t-shirts and the stickers. Absolutely awesome. Thank you very much. So let's get into this. There's been a few videos done about investment ball pythons, and all the videos that I've seen have been absolutely perfectly great. No issues, no problems. The only thing I want to sort of add, if you like, onto theirs is just simply that to me an investment can be anything that you are putting your hard-earned money into. So what I mean by that is, and obviously we're going to talk about ball pythons, we're talking about whether that be, you've worked hard, you've earned that money, and for me, any type of, like I said, any type of ball python that you put your money into is an investment. If you're breeding it, that is. If you're a keeper and you just want to keep them, that's obviously down to you guys, and there's no issues with that whatsoever. I love, even though I'm a breeder, I love keeping this species. But for me as a breeder, and if you were looking at it from a breeder's standpoint, or you wanted to breed your animals, this is where the investment side of things start. So an investment ball python doesn't have to be from like £1,000 up to £10,000 animal. It can be, like I said, anything that you put your money into, your hard-earned cash, your blood, sweat and tears that you've earned. Your money is going to go into that snake and purchasing that snake. So let's look at a few things. So we've got a few ways of determining what's an investment and what isn't an investment. So we're going to talk about investments, obviously. So for example, a female hatchling pied or clown female, just a bog standard pied or clown female, is going to cost you round about £300 to £400 ballpark figure. Okay, right. You keep that female for 2 years. You're going to grow it up and produce from that female. You're going to produce a clutch. Again, if everything goes to plan. Okay, so let's just talk. If everything's going to go to plan, you're going to get a clutch from her. She's now 2 years of age and a proven breeder. Now you try and find one of those on Morph Market, you're talking round about anything from £800 to £1,200, depending on the time of year, depending on where you are in the world. And obviously majority I'm talking about is from the UK market and the UK experience. I know everything's slightly different in Canada, in the US and other parts of the world, but in Europe this is a ballpark figure what we're talking about. So now all of a sudden you've basically kept that female, you've grown her up, you spent 2 years putting food into her. Let's say on an average it's cost you £150 a year in food. That's £300 over the 2 years. So let's say that female has cost you £300. That female now owes you £600. Well, if you decide to sell her as a proven breeder, not only now have you got her clutch and her babies to sell, you have now also got a female which is a proven breeder, and she's probably worth, let's say on average, around about £1,000. Straight away you are up £400 on your original investment. So i.e. the 2 years that you spent putting food into her, including the money you spent to buy her. That to me is an investment. Okay, obviously if you decide to keep her, she's going to keep, and you keep breeding her, she's obviously going to keep returning to you, and obviously to the point where she won't owe you anything. Okay, she will just basically owe you, she'll keep making a profit for you, let's say every year. And I use the word profit as a very loose term because this can be quite frowned upon in the hobby, because it is a hobby, and for me this isn't about making money. For me, my hobby is about producing beautiful animals, world's best, and for me to sell those babies that I don't need, but also keep back the animals that I do need. If I don't hit the animal I would like to hit in that clutch, then obviously I have no option but to sell the clutch, and then with that money take it and go and purchase the animal I originally desired for my project. So this for me is obviously like a hobby. I want it to pay for itself. I want to obviously create a little bit of a cash flow, let's say, to help me buy other animals that can push my projects further and faster with what I'm working with. And let's face it, guys and girls, you know, we spend a lot of time with these animals. A little bit of a return for our hard work isn't much to ask for. So there's a few things again I'm going to touch on regarding a investment ball python. If you buy a female that's £100 and you buy a male that is £100, and those are the only two animals you've got, you want to breed those two together to produce some babies. You're going to put time and effort into those animals, but on top of that, we're talking about, you know, a money factor. You're also going to put food into that animal. So let's say over the course of 2 years, because it's going to take the female up to 2 years to get up to age or up to maturity to breed, you're going to spend £300 on the female, £300 on the male. So that's £600 plus the £200 original investment into those animals. So now straight away, those two animals have cost you at the end of 2 years £800. Okay, it's a lot of money. Okay, but you've got £800 to work with. Okay, so now you're going to produce some babies from that clutch, and obviously breed them together, hopefully all being well, and you're going to put them together. You're going to hopefully produce eggs. You're going to hatch those eggs. Those babies are going to thrive. You're going to be able to sell them, and let's say she gives you 8 eggs. Out of them 8 eggs, you're going to probably charge, let's say on average, about £150 per baby. So now you can do the maths and see where I'm going with this. So at the end of that, you're going to have a set amount left over from that clutch. After you've taken your original investment back and after you've taken the food back, you're going to be left with a certain number. So when we talk about investment ball pythons, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty of it all, any animal that you purchase with your hard-earned money is an investment. You obviously want that animal to grow up and you want to breed, and you have all these fantastic ideas of, you know, producing these amazing animals, and you want to hold, you know, a certain combo back to push further forward with your projects. There's a catch. These are animals, and with animals there is no guarantees that you will have true success. And I'm going to touch on another video regarding investment, regarding the equipment like racks, ultrasounds, incubators, all that sort of stuff on a separate video. This video I just want to concentrate on the animals. And so moving forward, you've got to be able to understand the species. You're going to want to know how to feed them, because again guys, if you can't feed them or if you're struggling to feed them, it's going to take you a lot longer than 2 years to get them up to size to start breeding. You need to understand how they live, how they thrive, what works, what doesn't work. Everyone's setup is completely different, and we've all got our own ways, and no way is wrong and no way is right. It just works provided the people out there who are giving you the information are giving you their true information and they haven't just copied it from someone's website. You know, everything that I do, I put it onto a little film or video for you guys to tune in and watch, and hopefully you will, you know, learn something from these videos. So, you know, it's all about knowing your little techniques, what, you know, and they do have their own personality, okay? They do have their own little feeding tricks, let's say, or majority of them will have a sort of a standard feeding regime, but there'll be one or two which need a little bit more coaxing to feed, or maybe a little bit more awkward. Maybe they're a live feeder as opposed to a frozen thawed feeder. So there's all sorts to take into consideration. You know, you could be feeding those animals and God forbid it, but one of them does pass away through a potential internal issue. That's something you can't foresee. So sometimes when you are thinking about starting out in this wonderful hobby, I would err on the side of caution, guys, and not go out there and spend thousands and thousands of pounds on animals that you may not be able to breed, not through the breeder's fault, just because they are animals at the end of the day. And also you may struggle to breed because maybe you haven't got the correct conditions. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration, and what this video is meant to be is I do or have seen too many people get burnt out because I've spent loads of money on snakes and they're not breeding, and they just go, you know what, sod it, I'm done. I'm done with this hobby, and it sort of leaves a bitter taste in their mouth. And what this video is to do is to help you guys realize what you're getting into, and that there's no guarantees, there's no rainbows at the end sort of thing, or a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It takes a lot of hard work, a lot of graft, a lot of time, a lot of perseverance, and a lot of patience. Okay, you need to make sure you get all the right conditions correct. So there's a lot to think about, guys, and you need to keep thinking, if this doesn't work, what can I do? Or if they're not feeding a certain way, what other techniques can I do? What other techniques do I know? And put that into practice. So obviously we're talking about investment ball pythons, we're talking about investing money into snakes. Certainly I have brought animals which have cost me, I think the most was probably about £4,000. He was a proven breeder from one of the best, what I deem to be one of the best breeders in the world, and he's not bred a single thing for me yet. However, he was a proven breeder. The breeder showed me the locks, and I saw all the information for myself, so I was pretty happy that I've got him, and he's absolutely phenomenal, and I love him to death, and he's crazy. However, this is something that I can't take out on the breeder because it's just one of those things. I hope he breeds in the future because he's an absolutely awesome animal. However, if he doesn't, he doesn't. And as far as I'm concerned, it could be my room or my conditions that he's just not quite comfortable with. He could go to someone else and he could breed perfectly fine for them. So, there's a lot to consider, guys. However, for me, it's not like I've just started and gone out and brought a £4,000 powerhouse snake. I've worked my way up from normals, then I started with a pastel and a spider to produce a bumblebee, so on and so forth. So I've really worked my way up regarding where I am today. This doesn't happen overnight. And again, guys, I want you to understand that just because you see a lot of breeders working with a lot of amazing animals doesn't mean that they've just gone out there and brought it. Well, not for most of us anyway. There are a few lucky people out there who've been able to go out there and start purchasing and investing money into beautiful animals. But what you'll find is they had them on lockdown. They knew how to breed before they invested all that money, okay? Or they was tutored how to breed on a one-to-one basis. You might not be that lucky to be able to have a one-to-one tutor or tuition. So you've got to kind of learn it for yourself. Obviously, there's plenty of videos out there, plenty of information. Hopefully, the right information that you guys can go and find. So regarding breeding and investment ball pythons, start off with the basics. Again, guys, look at world's best. World's first, everyone raves about world's first. So I've probably had about 16 to 25 world's first, and you won't find none of them on World of Ball Pythons, because for me, that's not what I'm about. I want to make the best of the best, if that makes sense. The best 2, 3, 4 gene animals, as opposed to making those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 gene animals. I want to be able for you guys to look at a snake and go, wow, is that all that's in it? Just straight, is that all that's in it? So I'm going to cut this video very short. I hope this all makes sense. So please think on before you go out and buy those expensive snakes. learn from the basics, learn from the bottom, start at the bottom and build your way up. Okay, any type of money that you put into your animals is an investment. Okay, so I want to wrap this up. This is video 1, or part 1, let's say. Part 2 is going to be about equipment and set equipment that we use as breeders, that hopefully this will help you guys start off when you want to start off breeding ball pythons. So smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and again, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe, guys. I really do appreciate all your support. Drop any comments in the comment box below. Again, thanks for all your support, guys. Love and respect you all. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.